Please introduce yourself and describe your role on the SpellForce III project.
So I'm Reinhard Polic and I'm the executive producer and studio manager here at Grimlore Games. And I was basically here from the very beginning of the production of SpellForce III. I was part of the initial group that came together to decide on what way we're gonna tackle the production and what's gonna be the initial vision for the product.
Hello, my name is Thorsten Warner and I was game designer for SpellForce III, mainly responsible for game systems.
I'm Nicholas Lietzau and I was one of the writers for SpellForce III. So yeah, my responsibilities were narrative design and writing dialogue. I participated in organizing the localization, directed some voice acting sessions, all that.
Okay, I'm Dave. I'm a gameplay programmer and tools programmer on SpellForce III. I mainly wrote gameplay code for building placement, building logic, and a lot of the tools like the Articy exporter, some other stuff, things like that. The dialogue system, quest system. Yeah.
What tools did you use for the narrative design?
So at first we had an internal tool for writing dialogues, but we soon came to the conclusion that for a game like SpellForce III, that should be like a fully feature-rich RPG with complex and branching dialogues, we need a way better tool to first plan the content properly, the whole story, the dialogue and how it plays out, and to be able at any point to see where the dialogue branches lead to. And then also during the writing process, to not lose track of some sort of answers and branches. And that soon we came to the conclusion that we need to search for either ways to upgrade our own tool to a certain level, but then we just found out about Articy Draft and were just very impressed that they provide there is all the feature set that we need in there, and then it was basically just a question of how well it integrates with our pipeline, and that was solved quickly, and so we decided to go with Articy Draft.
What were the biggest challenges you identified at the start of development?
For a team like us of 20, 30 people to stand a project like this that most AAA companies probably would be afraid of, that combines RPG and RTS elements, that's just a whole lot of work. And was kind of challenging to get that finished in time.
We were aware of that SpellForce III will be a very content-heavy game, as the former SpellForce games were all really long, told very deep stories, and we knew that this will be a challenge to do it again with all the advancements that were in game design, and how we can make a SpellForce that really feels like it has the spirit of the old SpellForce games, but it's also a modern game in 2017.
So with SpellForce III, the main challenge was to combine the two elements of RTS and RPG, and to find a way to not develop two games in one. And we set up all our processes and also pipelines and tools up so that they work with the both genres that the game is made in.
I didn't join the development until earlier this year, March to be precise, so I can't really say. But then again, joining the development at a later stage also brought some challenges, of course, because I had to, a lot of the narrative was already set in stone. I had to work with what was there, and that was really challenging at times, because there were some inconsistencies and some plot holes, and I basically had to fix all of them, or dialogue-wise had to fix all of them in a very short period of time.
How did you use Articy Draft?
I used it to write dialogue, and I also used it to illustrate the mission design. In the topmost layer of say, a mission, we had the narrative design, the mission design, which was used by the game designers and the writers to communicate the structure of a mission to the whole team, especially the scripters who realized the mission later on. So yeah, it usually included a small description of the story context, or say, okay, now the player talks to character X, and then He walks there and there's a small battle, and this is followed by a shout out, and so on and so forth. And then beneath that was the actual dialogue, which we stored in dialogue containers. And there we had, for each character we had a container of all dialogues for that character, and that was what I spent most of my time in. So I would mainly just write dialogue, non-linear dialogue. This is what I find Articy incredibly helpful for, because writing non-linear dialogue in Word or any other kind of text processing software can be really tricky.
Well, I mostly created all the templates and features that the designers would later use to configure everything we need in the game. So added all the properties that are required.
One of the first features we actually used it for was for the map configuration and map planning. We basically had Articy configured. We used the drawing feature, like the locations feature. We put our scribbles of the maps in there, and then we were configuring, like the SpellForce III is sector based, and we are using Articy to configure those sectors with, for example, with resources or pre-spawn sector outposts and stuff like that. We really started using Articy as an integrated middleware tool for data and level management from the beginning.
There is also a lot of stuff that's only relevant for the RTS part of the game, like tech trees. We initially set that up in Articy, so we could tie it in very well with other elements of the game and also keep better track of everything.
What Articy draft feature was the most helpful to you?
Definitely the templates, so that we can add our gameplay values to all objects of Articy. Basically used it in the flow, we used it in entities, we used it in locations, we even used it for the text document feature of Articy. That was for me the single most used feature.
The writing, like the non-linear dialogue flow, if that's how you call it, that was really, really helpful. It was also very useful to have all the text or all the dialogue in one place, so you can easily search for specific terms and check for narrative inconsistencies and all that. But dialogue-wise or story-wise, these were definitely the most useful features.
Did Articy Draft improve the workflow of your team?
It was rather cool that everybody could take a look at a lot of the elements, and through the really visual appearance, and that you can do a lot with, like drag and drop in Articy, it was also really easy to understand and to use. Also a lot of functions like the links that you can see where is something linked in the flow helped us in finding potential issues, for example.
It was really helpful to have all the stuff, all the narrative, all the dialogue, all the text in one place, and to be able to just search for a specific keyword and all that, quickly output good dialogue without having to deal with multiple text documents and all that. So for me that was what really stood out.
And yeah, thanks to the API, we could create a really easy to use plugin that you just click export and everything works. That's really cool for the designers. We did most of our content creation really through Articy.
Did you integrate Articy Draft into your game engine? Articy we used basically an individually built export function for all our different elements in the game we used Articy for. So we could make changes, then we exported it, and the engine then could read those exports.
So integrating Articy into SpellForce III, for us the goal was always to be super flexible and fast. Yeah? So we wanted to build a direct pipeline where you can just press a button and everything is exported and in the game. And we found means to achieve that.